Jay here. Today's beer review will be on What's up, beer lovers? I got a super special beer tonight for you. I chased this beer. I wasn't able to chase it to completion, so I have to thank my buddy Lee, who actually drove out to Akron for me, grabbed me a couple of these. I wasn't able to make it. I just could not get there for their bottle release party for this beer. This is the new barrel-aged version of the B.O.R.I.S. It's called Bairille Aois. At least that's how Fred Kern pronounced it on a YouTube video he did talking about this beer. It's in Gaelic, and Gaelic for Bairille Aois, down here on the bottom, actually means barrel-aged, so it's barrel-aged B.O.R.I.S. barrel-aged. But this beer is aged in Irish whiskey barrels instead of like their regular barrel-aged version, B.O.R.I.S., which is aged in bourbon barrels. So I'm a big fan of B.O.R.I.S. I think it's one of the most complex big stouts that are on the market today. The barrel-aged version is actually pretty good too, though I would actually recommend aging it to kind of tone down the bourbon on it. But I'm really curious to see how the change happens when you put it in an Irish whiskey barrel. As of today, there is no Beer Advocate score for this beer. It's brand new. I think I may be the first beer reviewer on YouTube to actually hit this one. So I don't have a score for you. There were 8 reviews total on Beer Advocate for this beer, and only 3 of them were written. And the first one really wasn't a review if you ever go see it. But anyway, I am very curious to crack this open. I am a big fan of Hoppin and especially their B.O.R.I.S. I think it's by far their best beer they make, and it's absolutely excellent. If you haven't had the B.O.R.I.S., you need to go out and try it, and you should try the barrel-aged version as well. This is a one-off. I don't know that you're going to be able to get it. Hopefully you can trade for it or something. I've got a couple in the basement. They'll be up for trade probably after they age a little while. So we're going to see what happens with it. And here we'll go. So I'm going to crack it open. And I am super curious about this. I don't know exactly what Irish whiskey barrels they aged it in. I'm hoping it's Jameson, but who knows. I think when it comes to barrel aging, though, it's probably more about the style than it is the actual brand. It pours very dark, just a hair of a head there, and the head is almost as dark as the beer. It's amazingly dark, which is typical for B.O.R.I.S. I mean, it is a big, bold stout. There's no doubt about it. And if you can't tell by my voice, I'm super excited to try this. And here we go. Let's give it a smell. Wow, it is so complex on the nose. It doesn't fall off far from B.O.R.I.S., and I don't actually pick up too much of the whiskey additive. Like it's maybe a back note in this beer, where unlike their regular barrel aged with the bourbon, the bourbon's really forward in that beer. Yeah, this smells to me more like a big bold stout. It's horribly complex with chocolates and coffees and dark fruit, just slightly, and I can't wait to taste it. Here we go. Wow, the Irish whiskey flavor is definitely there, and it's actually quite predominant, considering it wasn't so much there in the aroma of the beer. But then you get hit on the back note with all the complexities that are there in B.O.R.I.S. And yeah, this is definitely the best barrel-aged B.O.R.I.S. I've ever had. The Irish whiskey is definitely the way to go with this. Yeah, they hit this one out of the park. That's all I'm going to say. This is one of the best barrel-aged beers I've ever had. Hands down. So Fred Kern, the other guys at Hoppin, out of the park, man. Out of the park. I got nothing else to say. I was a fan of B.O.R.I.S. to begin with, and I wish I would have got 8 or 10 more of these. So, cheers to you. Have a good night. All right, I'm back. I thought this beer really deserves some final thoughts on it. My initial taste of it, I thought this beer was absolutely amazing, and that never changed throughout the way this beer drank. As it warmed, the Irish whiskey flavor became a little bit more apparent as the beer warmed, but so did the same flavors that are prevalent in Boris. And it really became an amazing conglomeration of flavors between the Boris and the Irish whiskey. And I will stand my ground firm that this is by far the best barrel aged beer I've ever had, hands down. And I've had some good ones, but this one, at least in my opinion, my humble opinion, is almost untoppable. I don't know. Boris is a great beer to begin with, and the barrel aged version, a little overdone in bourbon barrels. This version of it in the Irish whiskey barrels, just absolutely amazing. Cheers to you, Hoppin' Frog. Keep up the good work.